Hello everyone. Today's topic of discussion is data interpretation. Okay. So what we'll be doing in this video is we'll be discussing only one data set. So we'll be understanding what all information that data set is providing to us. Okay, how can we read a particular data set, and then based upon that we'll be solving some questions. Correct. Now, whenever you talk about data interpretation, what exactly is data interpretation? There are like a couple of points. Let's discuss them first of all. So what's going to happen when you talk about data interpretation? You'll be getting a data, a mathematical data, which may be in form of a bar graph. You know what a bar graph is? A bar graph is something, it looks like something like this. Let's say this bar graph tells you regarding the population for a respective year. Let's suppose. So on the y-axis we have population, let's suppose in million, and on the x we have year. So this is year 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and so on and so forth. So it's basically it's a way of representing population, that's it. Okay, rather than giving you the things in word, they have a graphical way of representing things. That's what our data is all about. Apart from that, you may have a pie chart also. So a pie chart looks something like this. Okay, so this one represents population of 2021, whatever it may be. This represents population of 2023, this represents population of 2022, and this represents population of 2020. Or you may have histogram, you may have line chart, you may have matrix form. There are like various ways of representing a data. Okay, so the main point is, the first thing you need to understand is how do you interpret it. So there are like a couple of things you have to keep into consideration. First thing is, you need to read what the vertical axis and the horizontal axis is all about. Like, what is the heading of vertical axis and horizontal axis, so that first of all you know, if in case it's given on an xy plane, it's not necessary. Like in the case of a pie chart, you may not have a vertical axis, you may not have a horizontal axis, but in case of bar graph, in case of histograms, you will have those things. Okay, in case of a tabular structure, so a tabular structure is something like this. So in case of a tabular structure, you may have headings here, you may have headings here. So that is another thing which you can decode. Okay, but in case of a pie chart, everything is given in terms of words. Like there will be a heading, and then based upon that there will be a pie chart. Anyway, so the first thing is, whenever you're going to have a graph in an xy plane sort of a thing, so you need to understand what the vertical axis is talking about and what the horizontal axis is talking about. You need to understand that. That's the first thing. Okay, then slowly and gradually you have to understand what the graph depicts, what all information can you conclude from the graph. Are you making any assumptions, are you not making any assumptions? Those are very critical things you need to understand. Okay, we'll be discussing like almost all types of data interpretation sets that you may come across in your exam. Okay, we'll also be discussing like different types of questions. Okay, apart from the questions that we'll be solving, I'm gonna make you explain that how you have to decode a DI set. Okay, because there are two things. One is, there is a time constraint. There is a time constraint, so you can't spend like too much amount of time. So I'm going to make you explain what goes in my mind while I'm solving a DI set, because I'm usually able to solve this data set in around like 5 to 7 minutes if I have like 3 to 4 questions. So that's like almost around like 1 minute or 30 seconds for one question. So that's a good enough time for me with a higher accuracy. All right, what is the time constraint? That's the first thing. And second is calculations. So I'm going to also make you understand how to minimize your calculations. You don't have to do unnecessary calculation, it's not required. Okay, so first is understanding the data set, then is ensuring that you're not spending too much time in it. You don't have to like decode each and everything, it's not required. Sometimes you just have to understand what the data set represents, and then go further or go deeper according to the questions that are given to you. All right, Now, there are a couple of things which you need to know because data set or data interpretation topic does not have its theory of its own. Okay, it's just a representation of data in a different form. Rather than giving you data in form of words, they're giving you data in form of pie chart, bar graph, histogram, and all those things. All right. So there are like a couple of things you need to know. First thing is you need to be very good with the chapter percentage. So if you talk about concepts, it's going to test you on the concepts of percentages, the basics of percentage, how do you calculate percentage, how do you calculate percentage change. That's like one of the most critical aspect when you talk about data interpretation. If you do not know percentage, there is no point of solving data interpretation. Almost every second, or not every second, almost every third question will be a question on percentages from the given data set. It will be. Second thing is statistics. At the start, they can give you a data set, and then based upon that, they can ask you mean, mode, median, standard deviation, range, and all those things. Okay, that's another thing that can be done. They can also ask you to draw a box plot, not draw a box plot, like choose the options which correctly depicts the information in form of the box plot. Then they can also ask you on ratios, but ratios one is not that difficult. Taking a ratio, once you have the values, that's not that difficult. So these two, the first two are really the critical points. We can also write Venn diagram, but again, you can say that the table structure is usually complete. I'm not going to say always. Table structure is usually complete, and once you have a complete table structure, then it's not that difficult. Okay, so you may get questions on probability if you have a table structure, because that's one good question that can be found. Okay, so these are a couple of things which you have to keep into consideration. But like once you start solving question, because you need to, once you like start solving questions, you'll understand, you'll have a better perspective of what exactly a data set is all about, how do you have to interpret it, what are the things you have to take into consideration, and how you are supposed to solve the questions. Okay, all right, so without wasting your time any further, let's start with the first data set. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pause the video, go through this data, jot down points like whatever you understand from this data set, whatever it may be, just jot down those points, then play back the video, understand my interpretation, match it with yours, and see are we both on the same line or no. It may happen that you may miss out on something. It may also happen that I may miss out on something. And if I do that, please do let me know in the comment box. Okay. Alright, so pause the video and try analyzing this data set. Take your time. You don't have to rush into it. Okay, take your time. Because understanding the data is the most critical aspect. If you do not understand the data, then there is no point of moving forward. Alright, let's begin. So this tells me the first thing that I'll be reading is the heading so that I know what the graph is all about. That's the first thing that I'll be doing. Minimum daily temperature for the month of May in Antarctica. Okay, so it represents minimum daily temperature for the month of May in Antarctica. The second thing that I'll be going through is what's the heading of vertical axis, that represents the number of days. So I have 0 number of days, 1, 2, up to 7 number of days. Okay. Third thing is the heading of the horizontal axis, that's the minimum daily temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So I have 1 degree Fahrenheit, 2, 3, 4, and up to 8 degree Fahrenheit. Alright. So I have a bar graph which represents minimum daily temperature for the month of May in Antarctica. I have the number of days, I have the minimum daily temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. So this basically is let's talk about this temperature, that is 1 degree Fahrenheit. So 1 degree Fahrenheit corresponds to 7 number of days. That means for 7 days the minimum daily temperature was 1 degree Fahrenheit. That means for 7 days minimum daily temperature was 1 degree Fahrenheit. Similarly, 2 degree Fahrenheit was the minimum temperature for 4 days. 2 degree Fahrenheit was the minimum temperature for 4 days. Which 4 days? I do not know that. Okay, the graph does not say that for the first 7 days the minimum temperature was 1. No, incorrect. The graph does not say that for these 4 days it was 2 degrees Fahrenheit. No. The graph simply says that for 7 days it was 1 degree Fahrenheit. Which 7 days I do not know that. For 4 days it was 2 degree Fahrenheit. For which 2 days I do not know that. Okay. Similarly, for 4 days minimum was 3 degree Fahrenheit, and so on and so forth. For 1 day it was 8 degree Fahrenheit. So you can also say that your data can be represented as a number of days and temperature. So 7 days it's 1 degree Fahrenheit. 4 days it's 2 degree Fahrenheit. For 4 days it is 3 degree Fahrenheit. For 2 days it's 4 degree Fahrenheit. For 3 days it's 5 degree Fahrenheit. For 4 days it's 6 degree Fahrenheit. For 6 days it's 7 degree Fahrenheit. And for 1 day it's 8 degree Fahrenheit. This is basically what your data set is all about. Which 7 days it's 1, I do not know that. For which day the minimum was 8, I do not know that. I have no information regarding that. This is all the information that I have from this data set. Now, let's analyze a bit further. Let me ask you this the other way around. If this is the kind of data you have, and let's suppose if I were to ask you like frame questions on this given data, what all questions will you be able to form? Let's think about it. What all questions can you form? Can you form like question like what was the minimum temperature on 7th of May? I don't think we can do that because we do not have that information. Can I ask you what was the average daily temperature in the month of May in Antarctica? Yes, that you can calculate. Because in order to calculate the average, you need to calculate the total, which you can do. And you can calculate the total number of days also, so you'll get the average daily temperature. Can you calculate the median daily temperature? Yes, that also you can do because you have the data set. Can you calculate the mode? Yes, you can do that also. Can you calculate range? Yes, you can do that also. Can you calculate standard deviation? Yes, you can do that also. So the bottom line is that I can calculate all those details which will be more about the entire data set rather than calculating things for an individual day. I can't do that because I don't have that information. So if a question is pertaining to the entire data set, yes, I can calculate. But if the question is pertaining to an individual day, then I can't do that. Okay, so these are the things which you have to like keep in mind. This was an easy data set, not anything on that part. We'll be solving difficult ones also, but yeah, you need to get a hang of that. The basics, the process remains same. Okay, it doesn't change. All right, let's move ahead now. So let's move on to the questions. What was the average minimum daily temperature for state X in the month of May? What was the average minimum daily temperature of state X for the month of May? Fine, fair enough. So we need to calculate the average, which is like nothing but mean. So let's do that. If you want to calculate the mean, you have to calculate the total. So that is 7 into 1, which is 7. 4 into 2, that is 8. 4 into 3, that is 12. 2 into 4, that is 8. 3 into 5, that is 15. 4 into 6, that is 24. 6 into 7, that is 42. 8 into 1, that is 8. Let's calculate the number of days also. 7, 4, 11, 4, 15. 15 and 5, 20. 20 and 10, 30. 13, 1 is 31. So let's add these numbers also. 7 and 8, 15. 15 and 12, 27. 27 and 8 is 35. 35 and 50 is 50. This is 74. 74 and 50 is 124. This is 124 by 31, which will be equal to 4. So this is your mean or average daily temperature for the month of May. That is all that you have to do. You have 1 degrees for 7 days, so it's 7 into 1. You have 2 degrees for 4 days, so it's 4 into 2. You have 3 degrees for 4 days, it's 4 into 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. So for the first one, the answer is simply 4. Okay. Which of the following statements are true? Okay. Mode of the minimum daily temperature for May was 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, mode was 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, mode, what is mode? We already discussed the basics of start. So, mode is the observation which occurs most frequently. Okay, observation or observations which occurs most frequently. Now, the observations that I have is 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. Okay, these are my observations, the one that are written on x-axis. Okay, these are my observations. These are my observations. And these are my frequency. Do not, please do not interchange them. You can also, like, how did I come to know that these are the observations? Read the heading. They're talking about the daily temperature. They're talking about temperature. They're not talking about the number of days. They're talking about temperature. Temperature is the observation. Okay. So I need to see like which observation is occurring most frequently. So 1 degree Fahrenheit is coming for 7 days, I think, and that's the maximum, because then we have for 6 days, that is 7. So there is only one mode, and that is equal to 1 degree Fahrenheit. So mode of the minimum daily temperature for the May was 7 degree. No, this is incorrect because it is 1 degree. It is 1 degree Fahrenheit. Okay. Second one, average minimum daily temperature was same as the median of the minimum daily temperatures for me. Okay, so I need to calculate the median because average I already know, which is 4. So like, how do we calculate median? Median is, we need to calculate for whether we have odd number of terms or even number of terms. So I have odd number of terms because I have a total of 31 terms, because my total frequency is 31, so I have 31 terms. So my median, let me change the color, it doesn't go with this. So my median term will be 31 plus 1 by 2, which is like the 16th term. So 16th term, whether ascending or in descending order, will be your median. So let's see where the 16th term will be. So I have 1 degree temperature. This is my observation for 7 days. So this is basically like you're gonna have like 7 number of times. You're gonna have 7 number of times. Then you have 2 degree for 4 days. You're gonna have 4 number of times. Then you're gonna have 4 number of times, because it's 3 degree Fahrenheit for 4 days, and we have to arrange things in ascending order also. So 7 and 4, 11, 11 and 4, it's 15. So 16th term will corresponding to 4 degree Fahrenheit. 16th term will correspond to 4 degree Fahrenheit. So you have your mean, which is 4. You have your median, which is 4. You have your mode, which is 1. You have all the 3 values. Okay. So the second statement is average minimum daily temperature was same as the median of the minimum daily temperature. Yes, this is correct. They both are 4 degree Fahrenheit. It can be inferred from the given data that range of minimum daily temperature was 6 degree Fahrenheit. Now what is range? Range is minimum minus, oh sorry, my bad, it's maximum minus the minimum. Or to put in other terms, it's the difference between the maximum and the minimum observation. So what's your maximum observation? It is 8. What is your minimum observation? It is 1. So what will be the range? It's going to be 7. So third statement is also incorrect. It has to be 7. Okay, let's read the third question. Approximately what percent of the days had minimum daily temperature greater than mode? Okay, I want them to be greater than mode. Mode is 1 degree Fahrenheit, I know that. But less than the median. Okay, so less than 4 degree Fahrenheit. So I need to first figure out how many days have temperatures between 1 degree Fahrenheit and 4 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, so between 1 degree Fahrenheit and 4 degree Fahrenheit, I'm gonna have these numbers. So how many days? I'm gonna have 8 days. So I just need to calculate the percentage. That's going to be 8 by 31 into 100%. So this will be what? I think this will be somewhere around like, it's going to be somewhere around like 26%. I'm not calculating the exact value because in the exam you will have options. Or if in case it's a gradient question, then you'll have to do that. So what you can do is you can do 8 by 3 into 100%. So I know that this is going to be 2.8 by 30. Let's do it 8 by 30. So this is going to be like I can cancel 1 0 from here, 1 0 from here. So 8 by 3 is 2.66 into 10. So this is going to be like 26.6%. And since it's 31, so it's going to be roughly around 26%. Okay. If in case they ask you this in the gradient question, then please do use the calculator. And my guess is that they're gonna like ask you to like round it off, and if they're gonna give you the options, then yes, you can do this, because they will not give you two options in which one is 26.1, another is 26.2. They won't do that. The options will be like bit far apart, the numerical values. Okay. All right, so more or less this is it. Everything about that you need to know for the first data set. We'll be solving a lot more data sets so that you get a hang on that, but the basic principle remains the same. The first thing is you need to know how to read a data set. Once you know that, then you can solve it. Then that's not a big problem. All right. All right, then guys, thank you so much. We'll keep it a layer as far as this video is concerned. Okay, then we'll be having another data set in another video. And thank you so much for all the support. And please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't, for more videos and exam related content on SAT, GMAT and GRE. If you have any doubts, if you have any concerns, you know how to contact me, where to contact me. And if you're looking for personalized classes for GMAT, GRE and SAT, you can always get in touch with us. Alright guys. Alright then, thank you so much. Keep watching and keep learning.